What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 367 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and we have what's this? What's this, everyone? Off the top? Oh yeah, we're the number 11 ranked Philadelphia podcast now. What a time, Paige. We were ranked on this list, and then before going into the recording, we moved up the rankings.
It don't get better than us.
Insane. Genuinely, like, crazy. To see not only this show at number 11 on the list in Philadelphia, ahead of some very heavy hitters in this city, but also our flagship podcast, Underground Sports Philadelphia, was initially ranked number 9 and now is up to number 7, which is awesome. So shout out to FeedSpot for recognizing 2 of our podcasts on their platform of podcast rankings. They are basically like a podcast PR company that really like puts a whole database of podcasts together. They have over 100,000 podcasts in their system, and it's curated into like hyper niche listings. So like not only is there a Philadelphia list, there's stuff for like Detroit, there's stuff for Chicago, there's stuff for Los Angeles, there's stuff for medical, aviation, food, like all these hyper niche things that are well outside the bounds of what you would see on like an Apple or Spotify podcast chart listing. So really cool to see this show on there as well, because we are so firmly entrenched with the Philadelphia community, obviously from attending, Final Four weekends for college to obviously the Philadelphia Wings giving us our start, and obviously now the Water Dogs being in Philadelphia as well. But shout out to FeedSpot. We are now the number 11 ranked Philadelphia podcast, baby. Let's go.
Gang, gang.
Deej, your thoughts?
I'm hyped, dude. We can now say that we are ranked in multiple categories. We're ranked all around the world, mate. No, but really, it's just, it feels great, seeing that people acknowledge and appreciate the work we put in. That's kind of just what that says, is that, like, the work doesn't go unnoticed. They see what we do, and they like what we do. It just gives us more reason to continue doing what we already enjoy. Not that we needed it, but it does feel good to have it. We were going to do it if it's not there, but it makes it easier, makes it better to do it when that is there.
100%. So shout out to you guys listening, because you're the ones that make it happen. But now we have a new ranking to put in the trophy case. And by trophy case, I mean what we'll be listing off to start every episode about what this podcast is. And it's the Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. KB and Deej coming at you. We got a fun show for you. To which, Deej, the tweet you sent me before we started recording, which is wildly hilarious. I'll retweet it from OTB's account so everyone sees it. I sent it to CFO Marcy, and she said, "True story, bruv."
Bruv is the best thing ever. Best thing ever.
We got a fun show. We're going to talk some NLL. The California Redwoods have a brand new head coach. We'll get Deej's thoughts on his new coach. We'll get our overall thoughts on the hire just across the board. We'll talk a little college. We'll talk a little March Madness, as well as our bracket challenge is underway. If you are still looking for a home for your bracket, you're on the ESPN app, join our bracket challenge. It's free to join. Having a lot of fun. We had a very electric stream on Thursday night. Tons of fun. And if you missed it, it's available to watch on our YouTube channel. Incredible all-time clip from Deej as he's going through all the emotions of being a sports fan in less than a minute. Just incredible stuff. Definitely check that out. But yeah, join our bracket challenge. It's free to join. We'll talk about our partner there for the Bracket Challenge a little later on in the show. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. Goes a long way for helping us continue to climb the ranks of all of these charts. Helps more people find OTB on their podcast platform of choice. Plus, it helps them find all of our podcasts here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, including our March Madness streams that'll be happening all tournament long. All of our original video content is on that Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. We're currently at 1,045 subscribers, which means we're 55 away from the big 1,100, which is our next big milestone. So keep on subscribing, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And this show is proudly presented by this the spectacular people, the best in the biz, Shootout For Soldiers. Guys, we've been telling you about their 2025 schedule for quite some time now, as it is now rocking and rolling. And before you know it, May 17th will be here for all you homies down in Atlanta and in Annapolis, Maryland. 2 events going on there. May 25th, Jacksonville, North Carolina. July 9th and 10th, Long Island. July 12th in Massachusetts. Ohio, July 19th. Canandaigua, July 26th and 27th. Virginia, August 2nd and 3rd. Colorado on August 9th. Baltimore on September 5th and 6th. And newly added to the list coming in October 4th to be exact, Kansas City. All of this information is available. It's linked in the description. It's in our link tree as well. Just go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events, and you'll be able to learn how to register, volunteer, get involved, donate, and just be a part of Shootout For Soldiers' amazing initiative to bring community together with the sport of lacrosse to help our nation's veterans. And in a time like we're living in right now, our nation's veterans certainly need all the help they can get. So use the link in the description or go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events and learn how to get involved throughout Shootout For Soldiers 2025 schedule. And the show is proudly presented by Shootout For Soldiers, and we thank them for being our presenting partner. Deej, we had ourselves a time last night. We are grinding the midnight oils away, even though it's, nice little afternoon recording here on a Friday. We had ourselves a time, nice little 6-hour March Madness stream. Hoots got his first official underground stream in. He's obviously been a part of OTB streams in the past, but got his first underground stream. It's like, oh, he's part of the company now. One of us, from fan to coworker.
Just like that. Loved having him on. It was a lot of fun. I literally went through every possible emotion imaginable on the planet in 2.5 hours during the Michigan game. But we literally probably have one of the best clips ever made coming from that game. So it works out. I'm happy because we won. I can continue to hope that they win games. But the stream was a lot of fun. I had a great time going back and forth, and I think people probably thoroughly enjoy watching me go through emotional turmoil during a game.
That's so funny. We have some NLL action to break down. We're going to wrap up the week that was, and we'll dive into this week's slate as well. But as you guys know, our NLL wrap is brought to you by our friends over at Buff, and the best way to get officially licensed merchandise from Deej and I's favorite show that we'll be catching up on once Survivor is in full swing. We're always locked in. But once March Madness is over, I know Deej is going to get back to the grind of binging Survivor. And Colin Squires, that offer is still on the table to host the Survivor podcast with us. I definitely have some catching up to do with that as well. And our friends at Buff have those officially licensed Survivor branded buffs. Definitely check those out. Check out everything on Buff's website. This week, I'm not sure what it's been in Michigan. I'm just speaking for the South Jersey, Philadelphia area. It's been beautiful weather the past few days. It's been like mid 60s. I've been like feeling myself like come back to life. And Buff has those baseball hats. They've got the Buffs, obviously. And DJ, I think I'm going to commit to something when the weather gets like consistently warmer. I think I'm going to start going on hot boy walks this spring and summer to just get the cardio going, get myself a little more active. And I've already planned it in my brain because I'm like, how can I commit to doing that when I still have so much work to do? I think my hot boy walks are going to coincide with me cutting clips. So I'll have the clips to create on my phone while I'm out for my walk, and then still killing two birds with one stone. But I'm going to have to get some Buff headwear to rock out on the hot boy walks, and you guys can do the same. Use the link in the description. Shop everything Buff has to offer you on their website, and protect yourself from the wind, the sun, the cold, and everything in between, because Buff is there to protect you from the elements. And we thank Buff for being a proud partner of the podcast. Deej, last week, the games were quite wild. Halifax continued to be the most Jekyll and Hyde team. But even before that, I wanted to just ask, because our good friend Neil Barrett brought it up, and I didn't even realize it because I was so busy last Friday that I was just catching the highlights and it didn't even like cross my mind. Who greenlit that jersey matchup? No pun intended. Who?
I saw his tweet and I was like, dude, nasty work.
Who said that that was okay? I need to speak to whoever that was.
It was such an eyesore. Like, it was such an eyesore, I couldn't watch the game. I actually turned it off. Like, I couldn't.
You could have projected anything onto that game and been able to watch it. It was literally a green screen.
Literally. Because the field was just as green as the jerseys. It did not help at all. Good thing the ball's
so
white.
Bad.
Good thing they don't use a neon-colored ball like the PLL does. Oh, my. That would have been awful.
It was so
awful.
bad. It was so bad. Whoever made that decision.
And it's not that either.
You need to go to the timeout corner.
Neither of the jerseys were bad.
No, it was just
were ugly. They looked great, but you can't have them going against each other.
No. Like, Halifax had to be wearing purple or white in that game.
I get wearing green at home for St. Patrick's Day, then you ask them to wear black and green or white and green, something that offsets. That you're not both wearing green. Or one of you wear a tremendously darker green than the other so that there is offset in the green.
So bad.
But
that was one of the worst jersey matchups I think I've ever seen in any sporting event of my lifetime.
Yes. Yes, by far.
And Halifax just went belt to ass, continued to be the most Jekyll and Hyde team we've ever seen. They win 17-9, essentially doubling up Saskatchewan there at home to kind of get a stranglehold on fourth place for the time being. Tough loss for the Rush, but a good win for Halifax as they stay kind of firmly in that top four. Vancouver does what we expected them to do, and they beat Toronto 13-8 at home. The Colorado Mammoth beat the Philadelphia Wings 10-8. I'll rant about them in a bit. Rochester belt to ass 18-8 over Ottawa. Albany outlast Georgia in easily the upset of the week, 11-10, and Buffalo dominant win to kind of get their lick back against Calgary, 11-6, and then San Diego beats Vegas 20-11 in a football/baseball score. Where do we want to start, Deej? We'll highlight some of these games and
I mean, I'll start with Albany pulling off against Georgia. That really surprised me. We saw an awake from their offense that we hadn't seen often throughout the year. They were moving the ball around, getting really good shots, and being able to pick and finish some of those around Brett Dobson, who was easily in the goaltender of the year conversation based off the season that not only he's had, but Georgia has had. And then they did a great job of frustrating that Georgia offense, making them work for their shots and really kind of taking away the things that Georgia likes to do the best, which is, one, let Lyle Thompson be himself. They really kind of forced Lyle to give up the ball and use his other teammates, but also they really kept them out of the middle, kept them out of doing a lot of hitting the roll guy off the pick and kind of forcing them to take outside shots. So it really worked for them and getting them in that game. I kind of couldn't believe Halifax was able to pull that one off against Saskatchewan. To me, Saskatchewan came in flat, and it was very opposite of what they've been doing all year. The Rush have done a very great job of hopping out in front in games and really getting on people early and forcing them to play comeback lacrosse. And it was the other way around this time, and the Rush just didn't have enough, and that makes me question not necessarily question, but like looking forward, that's something to just keep in the back that I'm keeping in the back of my mind, and other people may want to is if Saskatchewan falls behind, do they have enough to pull themselves back into a game once it gets to a certain point? And based off what we saw Friday night, they don't. And then obviously the Buffalo Calgary game went is exactly how I thought it would. It was close still, and it still was a battle, but you could tell Buffalo was very upset what happened the week before. They had not forgotten, and they were looking to get back on track. They did exactly so, winning 11-6. But I think everything else across the board was pretty chalk. I don't want to talk too much about. The only other game I would talk about is the one that happened in your realm, but I will let you speak on that first before I touch into that.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Wings. Like I said last week, if they lost this game, their playoff hopes were effectively dead. I'll pull up the NLL stats website. Shout out to Graham Perro to do the predictor again. But right now the Wings are sitting in 11th place, 5-8. They are a game and a half back with the tiebreaker, which is beneficial, of 8th place, which is your Roughnecks, Deej, just for reference. But I think you guys will continue to climb a bit. I don't know, man. I don't understand how this offense has just gone from prolific to absolute dog water in the course of a month and a half. I am flabbergasted, genuinely. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I saw Adam Levy on the way out. He was at the game as a fan with his wife and Preston, and he was like, dude, what is with this Wings offense? And I said, dude, I don't know. I don't know where they went. And he told me he would see me on the 28th. And I said, I hope we see the Wings offense on the 28th, because dude, they went from the beginning of. I'm gonna read off the goal totals for the Wings in the early go of the season. They scored 15 week 1 against San Diego. They scored 19 at home in the home opener against Vegas, 15 at Vegas, 12 on the road in overtime against Saskatchewan, 13 at home against Calgary, 14 in that loss to the Buffalo Bandits, 14 at home against the Vancouver Warriors. Then they scored 12 at home against Rochester, 10 at home against Halifax, 10 on the road against Halifax, 6 on the road against Albany, 10 at home against Albany, 8 at home against Colorado. The offense has disappeared since the calendar turned to February. I don't know what has occurred. I don't know why it's occurred, but the only reason that the Wings were even in that game against Colorado too was a third quarter like blitzkrieg from Joe Resetarits. Without him going nuclear, the Wings maybe score 4 times in that game. The offense looks so lost. They look so like there's no unity to the offense whatsoever. And they look like shit flat out. And it's embarrassing. The players should be embarrassed. The coaching staff should be embarrassed. Like, it's embarrassing the way that they're playing, because you went out and you fixed the defense. You fixed the transition game. You let that Colorado team, granted, I'll give them this. Zed Williams is obviously out for the season. Eli McLaughlin is out for the season for his firefighter probationary period, and Connor Kelly was out for this game. So 3 of Colorado's best scorers are out, and you held them to 10. How you don't win that game is beyond me. And you let Ryan Lee hit the most demoralizing. He literally ripped a shot from midfield. It would have been more than a 2-pointer in the PLO. I've never seen Ryan Lee with that type of range over the past couple years. It genuinely blew my mind that he just ripped it and it went right in. I don't even blame Nick Damude for that either, because sure, did he let it in? Yes, but it shouldn't come down to that. And the way this team is playing, like, they've played themselves out of the playoffs. I don't see how they get into the playoffs now without winning out and getting a metric ton of help, because you're on the verge of finishing below 500 with the teams you still have to play the rest of the way. And it does not get easier. You're at Toronto this weekend, a team that has been historically a thorn in the side of the Philadelphia Wings. And I know we got the announcement today before we started recording that Tom Schreiber's on the injured reserve list again. Hopefully Tom's okay. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't trust this team as far as I can throw them. And it's a shame because there was such high expectations for this team going into the season. And it's just going to be same old, and I don't know how you fix it. And when I have people in my mentions saying that you need to fire Paul Day, I'm like, what does Paul Day have to do with any of this equation? He put the team together. Sure, he's the GM. He got superstar talent in here. To me, it's on the players. It's on the coaches. They play and coach the game. They have to execute. They have to perform. Paul Day has nothing to do with the outcomes on the floor. He can only do so much by putting the talent together as the GM. The coaches have to draw up a better game plan offensively, and these players have to play like they want, like, to go to the playoffs. They look like they're just going through the motions right now, and it's quite frankly embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to say. I thought that was a good opportunity. They were at home, and they were coming in against a battered team that wasn't quite themselves, and they just weren't able to pull it out. And I think the transition's okay. I think the defense is good, and obviously Damude has been pretty good in between the pipes, but the offense just hasn't scored enough since like week 5 or 6. It's been a total down spiral for them, and I don't know where it's coming from because Mitch Jones and Joe Resetaritz are still like top 10 in points. So it's not like
top 5.
Yeah, I say it's not like they've stopped necessarily producing, but they're getting like no help outside of that, and you can't win with 2 people.
No. And I'm like going through the motions right now, just like picking teams to win here throughout the remainder of the season and how it would shake out in my book. And in terms of everything that happens here, the Wings would have to win out and get a ton of help, and they can still make the playoff. They would have to go 10-8 if they want any shot at the playoffs, and then they would get the 7 seed and have to go to Saskatchewan. So you genuinely have to win out in order to make the playoffs, and that, like, the rest of your season now is the playoffs. From week 17 to 21, the Wings play at Toronto, then they're home against Ottawa, they have 2 against Georgia still, and then they have a game at Vancouver to end the season. You have to win 5 straight and then get into the dance. And it's not like it's like easy opponents either. It's very difficult opponents. All of them are playoff teams outside of Toronto and Ottawa right now. You have to lock in. Like, there's no excuse. And I saw it before the game started, or before the second half started, pardon me. Blaze brought the entire team out to the Wings goal before the second half started. Total team huddle. I was like, I haven't seen that all season. So it's not like the leadership on this team is a problem. Blaze recognizes an issue as the team captain. He's saying, hey, we need to lock in if we want our season to stay alive. Now, I don't have access to post-game press conferences, which is just another thing that is a different topic for a different day that is very frustrating, to say the least. So I don't have any questioning there for what Blaze said or any idea of what was said. But it's been a frustrating go since February, to say the least.
I sympathize. I don't know kind of where else to go with it, because even when my favorite teams struggle, they still win games and still do enough to find themselves in the playoffs and make it not that bad of a season. Y'all have just completely fallen off the wagon. There's no real, it almost doesn't look like there's a desire to find that drive again to be competitive.
It's crazy. And Adam tweeted this. I want to pull it up. Because this week the Wings could go for history, and not in a good way. The Wings lost to the Mammoth 10-8 on Saturday last week, marking their 6th consecutive loss. This team was 5-2 at one point. Top of the table, right behind the Bandits. Had the game in hand against the Rush because, not too long ago, this team beat Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan. So this 6-game losing streak ties not only the longest losing streak in franchise history since the 2018-19 season, but it also ties the longest losing streak by any Wings team ever. The 2018-2019 Wings started their inaugural season on a 6-game losing streak, and the 2014 Wings had a 6-game losing streak in the middle of their season. So if the Wings don't beat the Rock this week, they set a franchise record for most consecutive losses by any Wings team in the history of the franchise. What's the old saying? Not great, Bob? Not great?
That is not great. That is not great.
It's very frustrating. Wildly frustrating. But yeah. Shout out to the Mammoth. They're really good. Even when they have guys out, they're still really good. And that's signs of a very good lacrosse team. Is you find ways to win even when some of your best players are out. Maybe the Wings need to take a page out of that book over the past 5 weeks before you made these trades. One of your best transition players goes down. You shouldn't be losing games the way you are.
Yeah, I'm not. There's something bigger than that. Just because this happened last year too, and the same amount of time, around the same time, the same thing happened where the offense just died. So I don't know what it is, and
it's a brand new offensive coordinator. TK is running the offense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
It's crazy. Rochester's really good. Look at us.
Really good.
We were always right about them being our league pass team.
Really good as a stretch. They're good.
They score a shit ton.
They did score a metric ton of goals the other night.
I mean, they've scored a metric ton of goals all season. They lead the league in the goals by a wide margin.
Yeah, but they also give up just as many goals.
Yeah, they lead the league in. No, they don't.
They're second in goals against.
Behind Vegas.
Yeah, so it's
or in front of Vegas.
You can score as many as you want. Can you stop them? No. So you're just playing barn burner games.
But hey, they the first ones to set the barn on fire. Say we scored like motherfuckers. Shout out to Connor Fields, the homie, friend of the program, became the first American-born player to have 3 consecutive seasons of 100+ points. That's pretty cool. No big deal. Casual 100-point season already for Fieldsy, which reiterates the point that you and I brought up last week. He's the MVP.
Yes. Rochester's not 8-7 if he doesn't play.
No, but they have been on a tear since I don't even know when. I'm going to pull their schedule up too, because they've really turned their season around. Like, their season was in the dumps for a long time. Like, they won that opening game against Vegas 14-12, and then they were on a losing streak for 4 weeks. They lost to the Bandits in week 2, lost to Vancouver in week 3, lost to Saskatchewan in their 4th game, and then lost to the Bandits again. Then they beat the Swarm when we were like down on them, and they improved to 2-4. Then they lost that shootout of a game that Halifax won in the last second that Clark Peterson hit that game winner, 19-18. And then they beat Halifax the following week 10-9. Then they lost to Colorado. Then they beat the Wings. Then Saskatchewan absolutely boat raced them. Then they beat the Roughnecks. Then they doubled up Albany. Then they put up 21 on the Desert Dogs, and then they put up 18 on the Black Bears. Deej, they have 3 games remaining. Do they finish on this win streak they're on? Here are their opponents. They play the 29th, so they're off this week, but they play the 29th home against San Diego. They play April 5th home against Ottawa, and then they finish up at home. So 3-game stretch at home to finish the season. Home against Toronto on April 19th, last day of the season.
They'll win 2 of 3.
Yeah, I think at minimum.
I can't tell you who I think they'll lose to right now, but they'll win 2 of 3.
Like, they've been on a tear, and good for them. Like, they are a talented team, and this was kind of what we expected from them just for the entire season, not just some random stretch of games. To be like this, we expected this from the jump from Rochester, so really cool to see them kind of pop off the charts quite a bit, and obviously led by our guy Connor Fields.
Yeah, they've had a great season in terms of getting themselves back to where they wanted to be. There was a little drop there in the season where they kind of fell behind. We're dropping some games that they felt they shouldn't have lost, and even against some teams that they were actually better than. And now that the offense has kind of given life to the transition in defense, they've kind of put it all together, and they've just been able to go out and win games, and sometimes in impressive fashion, like we saw last weekend, 18-8 over Ottawa.
Yeah, it's been like a resurgence for them, and they certainly needed it, and that's how good teams, they find ways to turn their seasons around. And that's what Rochester's been doing since that early stretch when, we counted them out going into that Georgia game, and it was like, oh, they still got it. They still got a team that's filled with a bunch of dogs. Maybe it was just, goaltending issue to start the season, a couple injuries here. They've really, figured some things out, and they get Dan Coates back this week too. So they get their captain back from injury, which is huge on that defensive end. Anything else stand out from the week that was in week 16 for you, Deej?
No, that was the week. That was all the
good win for Vancouver. I know it's Toronto, but took care of business against the team that, years past, like Toronto's going belt to ass on you because they've been the better team, but good win at home for those Vancouver Warriors fans.
Yeah, I thought that was a good win. Just one that you need to go out and have because of this season that Toronto's had. It kind of just allows you to feel like you're doing the right things and keep taking the necessary steps forward.
Keeps you in a playoff hunt too. They're 1 game off, or half game off, I should say, of a playoff spot. So your standings look like this: Buffalo still at the top of the table at 10-2, Saskatchewan right behind them at 10-4, and I believe both Buffalo and Saskatchewan can clinch playoff spots this weekend. The Saskatchewan play. I know Buffalo can clinch a playoff spot this weekend. Saskatchewan is off, so I don't know if they still can. They could have last week. Colorado and Halifax are both 8-5. Georgia and San Diego are 7-6. Rochester is 8-7. Calgary is right now the 8th place team for the playoffs at 7-7. Vancouver is 6-7. Ottawa is 5-7. Philadelphia is 5-8. Albany's 5-9. See what I tell you? What I tell you, Deej? We give Albany 2 wins, pump some life into their goddamn season. Toronto's 4-9 and Vegas is 3-11. As soon as they traded for Kyle Jackson, I knew. I was like, God damn it, this team's gonna fucking bolster themselves up.
Yeah, but they're not doing anything.
No, they're not. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs with just how little time is left in the year. But I was like, God damn it, we gave them a reason to believe in themselves.
They're fine.
Pain. Existence is pain. Let's look ahead to week 17 in the NLL. It's brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, if you want to stand out in the crowd, you're going to your favorite NLL teams games, you're gearing up for the PLL season, going to college games, or you're just kicking it at home and watching all the lacrosse, got to rep your favorite lacrosse podcast, and that is the Outside the Box podcast. Official OTB merch available from our friends at PHI Apparel Company, the exclusive home to all Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast merch. And if you're a Philly sports fan, that is the place to gear up with their unique designs for all. There's no doubt in our minds and in PHI Apparel Company's minds that you will stand out in the crowd. Go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND, and you'll get 10% off your entire merch order from our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Again, code UNDERGROUND when you go to phiapparel.co, and you'll get 10% off your next merch order from PHI Apparel Company. Stand out in the crowd, do your thing, share your merch with us when you get it as well. We'll repost it everywhere. Week 17 is here, Deej. And this is the schedule. We're recording this on Friday afternoon, so it might be a little late like it has been. Apologies. March Madness is crazy. Lives are crazy. And Deej and I were live streaming until about 2 a.m, so we really wanted to take our asses to bed, so we weren't regretting how we felt today. 6 p.m. Eastern time start is the first game. It's Ottawa and Halifax. Then at 7:30, it's Vegas at Buffalo. Then on Saturday, a few 7 p.m. starts. We've got Philly at Toronto, Buffalo at Albany, and then at 9 Eastern, San Diego at Calgary. A little reunion game there between Dane Doby, Curtis Dixon, Zach Currier, Westberg, and all those boys battling it out on that teal turf. And then at 10 Eastern, might be my game of the week, Georgia at Vancouver. And then Sunday at 3 Eastern, Colorado at Ottawa in Ottawa's second game of the weekend. Two teams with double games this weekend too, Ottawa and Buffalo. Anything stand out to you off the rip from the schedule that you're looking forward to most, Deej?
Obviously, my boys welcoming San Diego into the Saddle Dome. That's a potential matchup in terms of seeding and how important that can play out over the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be a pretty important game. I think Ottawa's got to win the Halifax game in order to have a chance to really push. I think that if you lose the Halifax game but then win the Colorado game, you're kind of already down in the dumps. But also, I think that if you lose the Halifax game, there's a chance you lose the Colorado game just because of how you're feeling. So I'll be watching that first game of the week again. And then, like you said, Georgia-Vancouver is most likely game of the week because there just isn't a lot of great matchups this week.
Yeah, Georgia-Vancouver feels like it could be really fun. You know, the way that young Vancouver offense is playing, plus, you know, Christian Del Bianco versus Brett Dobson. Nice little Canadian goalie matchup there. That's always a ton of fun when you have a good goalie matchup in this league. Plus Jeremy Thompson versus Stathakis at the stripe. That game is going to be a lot of fun. That's like get your caffeine ready, put that simultaneously on with some of the night games for March Madness, and enjoy that one big time. San Diego, Calgary, I think is going to be very physical. I think that game is going to be, you know, a bloodbath, you know, kind of a scrappy 1-goal game at the end. Very excited for that one. And then we'll see if the wing season truly does come to an end this week as they go to Toronto, a place where they never have success, and try to keep their season alive. I also think Ottawa-Halifax is going to be like a weird game. Like those two teams are like the Jekyll and Hyde of the league, like we always say about Halifax, but like we never know what to make of Ottawa, and like they've really fallen off offensive production wise too. And from their trade deadline, it feels like they've kind of not mailed the season in, but they know that like this season is not theirs. So they've kind of like hit the reset button for next year almost. But 2 games starting on the road is tough too. At least you finish at home, but Colorado's a playoff team that's fighting, you know, they're not too far off the trail of Saskatchewan either. You know, they're a game back in the loss column, 2 games in the win column, so game and a half total behind second place. You know, if you're Colorado, you're trying to make the best of that, especially with Saskatchewan on a bye this week, and try to pull within a game of the rush to potentially move into second place down the stretch with a few games left of the season.
Yeah, I think that, you know, this weekend it's going to come down to who really wants to, you know, make that push and who doesn't. I think Ottawa has a great chance to step in and really make some moves. I think also this is huge for Buffalo to kind of really separate themselves from the rush and grab that 1 seed. And then obviously San Diego, Calgary, they're pretty much just going for seeding in that mix with Georgia and Rochester. All those games are going to be important. So I guess you can wrinkle in that Georgia-Vancouver game as well. It's kind of just playoff seeding time, and a few teams have an opportunity to push themselves in the conversation. Others have a chance to separate themselves from some other teams.
And on top of that, tonight, too, with the Bandits and Vegas game, if Buffalo wins, the Bandits win the inaugural Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup.
What about Tucker Out Lymphoma?
If the Bandits win
against
Friday
Albany?
night against Vegas,
then it's theirs.
They win the inaugural Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup with a win.
Then it's theirs.
And then playoff clinching scenarios for the Bandits. They win, they're in either game, and then they can clinch a home playoff game with wins over Vegas and Albany, and both a San Diego and Georgia loss. So Bandits fans, if you're looking for different playoff clinching scenarios and opportunities, that's what you're rooting for this weekend. But Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup more than likely gets wrapped up tonight, which is pretty cool. Another trophy added to a Dynasty's trophy case. I know it's new, so there's not much like precedent behind it. And me getting into soccer a bunch this year has really like put emphasis on like all these different like domestic cups and stuff like that. In the long run, and I know it's only, I hope that it expands to more teams for the Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup, because it would be really cool to see more teams involved to potentially win it. But if the NLL were to add more cups like this, like we had with the Alterna Cup, now the Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup, in your opinion, DJ, as an outside perspective looking in, and then as a fan of a team and a fan of the league, where would you like, is it one of those things that it's like, yeah, it's a trophy, put it in the trophy case?
My answer for all positions is the same. Yes. Yes. Trophies are just, everybody likes a trophy. No matter what it's really for, they want it. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to create this pseudo rivalry between like 3 or 4 teams for a trophy, those teams will go hard for that trophy because they want to add that to their repertoire. They want their fans to have something else to cheer for. Fans like cheering for stuff. When you have something extra to cheer for, the fans are into it. When you have something extra to go after, have something extra to brag to incoming prospects. Maybe you're looking at drafting a guy, or you're looking at trading for a guy. Hey, by the way, we've won this cup plus this and this and this many times. Like it's helpful into making your organization and program who they are. So of course I want to see more cups. And look at how these Tucker Out Lymphoma games went. There was the jerseys, the atmosphere, the game, the meaning, all of it. Like it brings more attention to the game in more ways than just the game, which can get more people involved. There's literally no reason not to have more in-season cups, tournaments, those kind of things, because it really just brings more action, energy, eyes to the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you, and we've seen it now for the past couple of years with the PLL, like Champ Series, like those players want to win that. Chris Bates brought up winning the double this year potentially. Obviously it didn't come to fruition, but that was on the table. That's something that these teams are going to want to compete for. And if you add more cups, I think in the NLL it works a ton because you have so many teams, on the docket for it. Bring back a Canadian Cup, bring something else into the fold, whatever it may be. And then you have opportunities for some teams to win a treble, some teams to win a double, some teams, have their focus. Okay, like, hey, we are trying to win this, and this is our sole focus. Or you have teams that know that, hey, this isn't our season to win the ultimate title, but we can still go put a trophy in the trophy case. I think that's fun and adds elements to sports leagues that we don't get enough in North American sports, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's something that would only make the sports better. They're already good, but why not add that extra oomph to make them a little bit better? I think that's what we saw with the Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup, with the Alterna Cup a couple years ago, with Champ Series, those things, that the NBA in-season tournament,
Mm-hmm.
like most of those games are against your division rivals who you see multiple times a year and that you care about winning those games. Even if they say they don't, they do. So it only helps to have them.
I'm going to bring this up because I think it's a fun thing to think about. There's a lot of logistical hoops that you would have to jump through to make it happen. But there's a thing in pro, like European soccer, just called the FA Cup. It's literally every team in Europe, every level competes. And then depending on the level or, league that you're in, that's when you kind of enter the tournament. So like Premier League teams don't really enter until like third, fourth round. But you have like these teams that aren't even like in a league. It's almost like, rec teams have a chance. Any team that, submits to play. I think that would be really cool in the National Lacrosse League, where you have some of these teams like the ALL and some of these other leagues where it's like they get in first, and then you have weeks where NLL teams pop in and then they compete, and then there's some sort of like NLL equivalent to what the FA Cup is. And I know Adam Levy and Neil are listening to this episode, like pounding on the table for it. Like, yes, there's a lot of logistical hoops, as I said, but it's a fun thing to like brainstorm about, and how fun it would be to, see like the Toronto Rock coming into, the ALLs, like the Grizzlies team that Christian Del Bianco is playing at, and they go to their arena, and it's like this small little, run of the mill kind of rink, but you have NLL team coming in for it. Down the line, I think that would be a really cool concept to introduce once there was like that stature of the league to make that potentially happen.
I think there's too many box leagues to do it. There's like 80. And like half the people in the box leagues play in the other box leagues. So it's like some of the teams wouldn't be able to play because they don't have half their players.
Right.
Like summer box teams can't play because all their players are playing NLL. Like I want it to work, and I think there is a way.
There's some way. It's just we have to like sit down and look at like what teams where.
I also think it would turn into a situation where it's just going to be the NLL teams playing each other anyway.
That's typically the case.
And everybody's going to go, why are we doing this?
Which is unfortunate.
Because it's lacrosse, people are going to do that. If like soccer, they don't do that. They just let it ride out. They do their thing, whatever. I'm sure some teams complain or like, da-da-da-da-da. But like for the most part, the fans just rock out with it, watch the games, move on. Lacrosse would have a fit. They'd be like, why are we watching the NLL teams play each other again? They have their own season. Just let them play there.
Which is so, like, close-minded.
It is.
Because, like, for reference, like, FA Cup is going on right now. My squad is in the quarterfinals. But there's a team that's in the league below the Premier League that's in the quarterfinals as well, playing against a Premier League team. And then in the 2 rounds ago, the team that's in last place in the championship, which is the league below Premier League for anybody that's not familiar, beat Liverpool 1-0. And Liverpool's going to win the Premier League this year by a wide margin. So it's like you get that kind of like parity, and like and Liverpool was, obviously they were trying to win, and they had to go to that team's stadium too. So like that home team of Plymouth Argyle, their home fans got to watch them upset Liverpool and move. Like that's a championship for them in and of itself. But
I think really it's a little bit different because like some of those guys in the Champions League play international.
So it's just
Well, I just mean like when they play when the World Cup and stuff is here, they're playing on the internet, like the national teams for their countries. Homies in the arena lacrosse are never sniffing Team Canada, never sniffing
right.
Team USA. Like that, at least like in soccer, a Champions League team can actually beat a Premier League team. A USL 1 or 2 team here in USA can beat an MSL team because some of those guys in the USL leagues are one step away or were last day cuts for MSL teams. You don't see that in lacrosse.
So the FA Cup is just between domestic teams in England. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, no, I know what it is, but like it's just the fact that like if we did that here, there's such a disparity in the skill level that like it turns into that thing where people are going, this is stupid. Players are just going to get hurt. They're playing the same teams they would play anyway. Versus like soccer, champions and premier, you're going to run into matchups where champion beats premier. And then it's like actually worth watching and it's worth going to the game and having it play out. I think that's kind of just where people's minds would end up going with it. I think the first couple of years it would be exciting. People would be about it. Maybe you get an upset or two here and there. But it's going to turn into a chalk tournament, and people are going to go, this is stupid. They just played a couple months ago in the NLL.
This is where we need to get Adam Levy's like full-blown soccer expertise and his full-blown like box lacrosse expertise in and just like pick his brain on how he could see it work. Because like you and I said, there's a way for it to work for the real sickos like we are, and it would be so much fun to sit back and watch. Especially because we are, as we're watching March Madness, you love a Cinderella story. And if there's a team that goes on a run and it's just like, oh, this is sick. And it doesn't happen every year. But then when it does happen, it's like, ooh, that's pretty dope.
I think it, like, in order for it to happen, they just have to do it. But it's not going to, like they would just have to be okay with people complaining about it, pretty much. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Is that like they have to understand that like the first couple of years is going to be exciting, and after that it's going to be something that people just complain about.
Which we know everyone in lacrosse just loves to complain just for the sake of complaining. You absolute dickheads. But yeah, week 17 should be a doozy, which will bring us to the pick pond. Deej, you ready to make some picks?
Let's do it.
We're going to head on over to the pick pond, feed some ducks, and dish out our week 17 NLL picks of the week. It's brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Maryland, and Delaware areas. You can also get Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Finder. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, for context, you and I had the same picks last week, but we did pretty good. 5-2 in the combo picks last week, which moves you to 53-40 on the year and gets me above 500 for the very first time. I'm at 48-45 as we head into a slate of 7 games in the National Lacrosse League, and it all starts Friday night, 6 Eastern, Ottawa and Halifax at the Nest. Halifax just has the offensive firepower that Ottawa just does not have this year, and even with Jeff Teat, he's a one-man band, it almost feels like. So I got to go with Halifax to get the dub.
I just can't trust Ottawa. I think I've picked them to win a couple of games recently that I feel they were better than the other team and they should have won, and they just haven't. And like you said, Jeff Teat hasn't been himself, and even when he is, and he goes out and has 6 goals or whatever, it's not enough to get them a win. So I'm not going to trust them to get me a win this time either. I'm going to go with Halifax.
I think we both agree Buffalo's going to lock up the Alterna Cup and get a W at home against Vegas.
Yes, zero question.
Here is the conundrum of the week. The Philadelphia Wings at the Toronto Rock. Tom Schreiber is out. He's on injured reserve. The Wings offense has been out for a month and a half. Historically, the Wings are atrocious no matter if they're at home or on the road against Toronto. I'm gonna pick the Wings. I hate it. I hate the pick. But I just think, number one, right now, the Wings have the better goaltender. And it's a nice little defensive revenge game for Chris Corbeil and Mitch DeSnew. I'm going to go Wings. I hate it. I'll probably look like a doofus. But with no Tom Schreiber. If Schreiber was playing, I'm easily picking Toronto. But I'm going to go with the Wings.
Well, we may both look like doofuses because I'm going to be right behind you and pick the Wings. Like you said, it's really the goaltending. As someone who's had one of their goaltenders on his team, and what we've seen from the guys that were not Nick Rose the last couple of years, I just trust Joe Resetarits and Mitch Jones to bury just enough. You only have to win by 1. You don't got to win by 12. You only got to win by 1. I trust them to score one more goal than Toronto will.
I also need to see Blaze Reardon have a game. He hasn't really had a signature Blaze Reardon NLL type game this year, in my opinion. I need to see Blaze kind of step up and put on a performance in this one. If there was ever a time to do it, it would be this week. Next game is also at 7 Eastern on Saturday. It's Buffalo at Albany. Rematch of the NLL Finals last year. Albany's been hot. But
I'm going to take Buffalo here still.
I'm with you too.
I think they're just coming off playing the night before. Yeah, Buffalo, the night before. Home game, but then they're on the road real quick. They just locked up the Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup, and they're looking to stretch that lead between themselves and Saskatchewan. I think a 2-0 weekend for them would be great.
Then we go to 9 Eastern, San Diego at Calgary. Deej, your boys at home against a rival.
I hate them.
Hey, now.
There's only one team I hate more than them, and that's them dudes out in green in the prairies. Of course, I'm picking the Roughnecks. I miss you, Zach. You can come back home. Just saying. We put Zach Currier back on this team. Hey, Roughnecks, second, third best team in the league.
I'm torn on this game. I think it's so even in so many aspects. I'm going to go Calgary simply because they're at home. But I'm torn. And it won't surprise me if this is an overtime game, if this is a back and forth barn burner. This game is going to be very close in my book. The OTB game of the week, the Georgia Swarm at the Vancouver Warriors. Who you got, Deej?
Hear me out. They have only lost 2 games in a row twice this year. One time was a 3-game losing streak. The other was a 2-game losing streak. Or no, sorry. Yeah, the other was a 2-game losing streak, which is the one that they're currently on. They lost to the Rush in Albany, and then they lost earlier in the year 3 times in a row. I don't think they lose 3 times in a row twice. Although Vancouver has been playing very good lacrosse, I'm going to take Georgia to win on the road.
It's so tough. This is another game where it feels like the two teams are very even in a lot of aspects. What is... I'm going to take Vancouver. I'm going to ride the hot train of Christian Del Bianco in net and Vancouver being at home. Not saying it's not doable, but I think going cross country like that too is tough. So I'm going to go Vancouver. I think this game's going to be wildly close. Goaltending is going to be a huge factor, and I'm excited to see Vancouver's offense potentially step up to the plate to go toe-to-toe with Lyle and Andrew Q and Shane Jackson and the rest of those boys. So I'm excited for that game nonetheless. And then I think you and I are both in agreement here. We're both going Colorado.
Yes. I hardly ever pick a team to go 0-2 on the weekend, but I already said earlier, if they lose the first, I think they're going to lose the second as well. Colorado beats Albany. Or
so
Ottawa, excuse me.
We both have Halifax. We both have Buffalo. We both have the Wings. We both have Buffalo again. Both have Calgary. You've got Georgia. I've got Vancouver. And we both have Colorado. And those are your NLL Week 17 picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer. Deej, we had a little bit of a breaking news earlier in the week. Not too far off since we've been recording. That news is brought to you by our PLL app code. Guys, the PLL app is our go-to destination for all things PLL news, WLL news, and it's the most fun gamified sports league app on the market, hands down, no questions asked. You get up to the second updates on the league, scores during the season, trivia, articles from all the beat writers. You name it, the PLL app has it. It's genuinely every year Deej and I's most used app, probably outside of like text messages and email, the way that we go. Download the PLL app, and when you go to the redeem code section, use code OTBPOD. That's code OTBPOD, and you'll get 500 XP on your account. Level up. You earn rewards in the app and different features that you can unlock by leveling up. So use code OTBPOD in the redeem code section in the PLL app, and you'll get 500 XP on your account. Deej, the Redwoods have a brand new coach. Anthony Kelly named the next head coach of the California Redwoods not too shortly after our guy Nat St. Laurent announced that he was resigning from both the head coach and GM role. Anthony Kelly named the next head coach of the California Redwoods. For reference, anybody who's unaware of Anthony Kelly, he is a six-time professional lacrosse all-star and a 2014 MLL champion with the Denver Outlaws. He is second all-time in face-off wins, and he won a bronze medal with the U.S. men's national indoor team at the 2007 and 2019 World Games. So your tandem for the Redwoods now is Anthony Kelly and Joe Spallina. Cool hire, in my opinion. It's a different perspective, I think, for the Redwoods in a way. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Chris Collins is going to stay on this staff because I think he deserves to. I think he's a damn good defensive and goalie coach, but we'll see, how that shakes out. But your thoughts, Deej, on your new head coach for the Redwoods?
Once again, I'm kind of in your boat here. I don't know a ton about Anthony Kelly. I saw a few clips. I know that he was a really great face-off guy who had some offensive midfield abilities that, helped his teams do well and kind of helped give them an offensive push. So I think I'm really excited for that piece and the way that he can help TD Erlin become more of a presence offensively and be able to push that fast offense and kind of be a threat there to make the transition of the Redwoods a little bit better off the face-off. But other than that, I'm really just interested to see what his coaching staff is going to look like, how they interact with him, how the the players are accepting his role and how they feel about him taking over the helm, and then looking to see what they do with the offense. I think the defense is fine. I think the goalie situation is fine. We know what we're getting in face-off and the transition/wing game. Your rope unit is your rope unit. You kind of know what you're getting on everything outside of offense. What is this offense going to look like? Who are you bringing in to coordinate this offense? And how are you going to use the skill that you already have plus what you've been acquiring to make this team competitive again? That is kind of just where my eyes are. Obviously, he doesn't have any kind of real, he gets to make some input, but his decision isn't final when it comes to moving guys around now and making trades/draft picks. That's on Joe Spalina, as he's now the GM. So he kind of has the freedom to truly coach and spend all of his time there. So I don't really have to worry about what kind of GM he is. I just have to worry about what kind of leader he is and who he brings in to help him lead.
Yeah. And I think, Nat almost pulled an Andy Copeland on the way out and said, hey, I'm going to set this roster up with some really good pieces, with Ogivin, with Jackson Morrill, with Ronan Jacoby coming in, like some nice pieces to set up the future for Anthony Kelly. And then obviously Joe Spalina made his first signings earlier this week too, adding some paisans to the roster. But overall, I think he's going to be fun. He seems like a fun guy from, just scrolling social media, reading his press release as well. Here's the overall quotes and everything. Anthony Kelly is the right leader for the California Redwoods. His experience, deep knowledge of the pro game, and proven success as both a player and coach set him apart. It's a quote from Paul Rabel. With a decade-long all-star career in Major League Lacrosse, 3 seasons in the National Lacrosse League. I thought the PLL never mentioned the NLL, Deech. And 2 USA indoor appearances. Kelly knows what it takes to win at the highest level. His leadership, strategic mind, and ability to inspire players will push the Redwoods to new heights in the PLL. Quote from Joe Spalina, we are thrilled to welcome Anthony Kelly to the California Redwoods. Anthony has a rich history of success in professional lacrosse and is an incredible leader. As we construct a championship roster, Coach Kelly is the perfect hire to return the Redwoods to the top of the PLL. And Anthony Kelly's quote here, I'm incredibly honored and excited to accept the head coaching position for the California Redwoods. The chance to lead this talented group of athletes in the Premier Lacrosse League is a dream come true. I'm energized by their passion and potential, and I'm eager to build a culture of unwavering belief in one another, backed by a relentless competitive spirit. Thank you to Mike and Paul Rabel, Joe Spalina, and the PLL front office for this opportunity to contribute to the continued success and growth of professional lacrosse. He seems fun. I really like what I feel like he'll bring to the table, and I think he's going to be a nice spark for a team that has a lot of swagger on it already. Guys like Ryder Garnsey, Wes Berg, Charlie Bertrand has kind of that subtle, quiet swag to him. And you're bringing in some championship pedigree too, with Jackson Morrill, with Ronan Jacoby, with Ryan Ogivin, who have competed for or have won championships at multiple, stops in the PLL. And, coupling that with, some franchise staples in TD, Jack Kelly, and, getting this defense healthy, with Owen Grant in the mix again. And obviously Jared Connors, another year in this locker room, and just adding pieces through the draft and seeing another year of Brian Tevlin develop. There's a lot of swagger and fun on this team. And I think Anthony Kelly's just going to help bring that out of these guys and have that confidence that it feels like they've lacked for the past couple of years. Not to any detriment of Nat, but I feel like it's almost like they've lacked self-confidence, where it's like, we know we're better than this, but we just can't figure out why. And I think, a different voice in the room could potentially unlock that.
Yeah, there's always a change in the way things are done when something new comes in, and there's going to be a lot of change here. We don't really know what anything's going to look like moving forward. I just think the offense kind of has the what do they say? The bars on the ground in hell, or whatever they be saying. That's pretty much what it is for the offense right now. It literally can only go up. It can only get better. And I think that's where everybody's eyes are focused. So as long as they truly put some work into there, I think everybody will kind of look at that first season for this new coaching staff as a success.
Yeah, and Joe Spallina made his first signings as GM on St. Patrick's Day. Brought in midfielder Aiden Denenza and attackman Vince D'Alto, who could become just the second player from Boston University to play in the PLL. Deej, can you name the first?
No.
That is one of our favorite 2020 PLL draft picks, Reese Eddy.
Oh, okay. Sick.
So Joe Spallina adding some Paisans from the Long Island area to the Redwoods. Spallina coached Denenza on Team 91 when he was 6 years old.
Wow.
So a long-standing history there. So yeah, that's the signings there. We're going to be working to get Anthony Kelly on the show, but I do find this very interesting. Our guy Rosie posted the article from Inside Lacrosse when the Water Dogs head coaching opening happened just over a year ago. He tweeted, just over a year ago, this article was published, and every candidate is involved in the PLL in one capacity or another. Here were the candidates for the Water Dogs head coach opening. Stephen Brooks, Brooksy Rule, obviously. Spencer Ford, now the GM of the Carolina Chaos. Anthony Kelly, now the head coach of the California Redwoods. Brody Merrill, who has been an assistant for the Boston Cannons in multiple championship series. Tony Resch, who is obviously long-time assistant for the Utah Archers. Joe Spallina, GM of the California Redwoods. And Bill Tierney.
So from what it sounds like to me is this was done a little bit ago, and these decisions were had and made a little while ago. They're just now coming to fruition. To me, for Bill Tierney to be on that list tells me one of two things. This was done before he got the Water Dogs job?
That was the Water Dogs candidates list.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Redwoods candidates.
No, I'm saying, but now
I don't.
No, but your point still stands with what you were saying. That was when the Water Dogs coaching opening happened just over a year. But now all of those guys are involved in the PLL. I don't know. There's a little credence to what you were saying even before you didn't realize what you were saying.
Yeah, maybe, but now it doesn't quite seem like where I was going with it isn't what this is. So I'm not going to continue that line of thinking. But there's a possibility this decision was made well before we kind of were all made privy of it.
I am going to pull up one other thing. So Anthony Kelly was also in the a finalist for the Chaos coaching job as well. But now I think the interesting part is of those names that we have seen since we've gotten coaching turnover and everything like that over the past couple of years. Brody Merrill's the only one that's not like officially like a coach during the regular season and everything. So now, outside of Brooksy, who the Brooksy rule, obviously, if you know, you know, we're going to see a whole new crop of potential coaching candidates whenever a new coach opening happens now, because all of those guys are involved in the PLL one way or another. And I know, obviously, with Kyle Hartzell stepping down from the defensive coordinator spot for the Cannons, they allegedly have their defensive coordinator from some rumblings I heard at Champ Series, but it's just not official yet. But like they know who they want to hire. I don't know if it's Brody. It would be cool if it was Brody, but you have that. You still have to have two coordinators or at least one for the Carolina Chaos. We got to see if Chris Collins is sticking around with the Redwoods, and you still need an offensive coordinator potentially. So there's still some coach openings as we get closer and closer to the draft and then obviously the start of the season.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are going to be interesting over the next couple of years as coaching changes continue to happen, and over this next season as new coaches and GMs and such settle into their roles. There's going to be a lot of moving around and a lot of judgments being passed, but I think that's normal in this stage. And I think both crews that are going to be stepping into their new spots are going to do well with what they have.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all shakes out as we move further into this off season and closer to the draft, like I said, with some coaching, position coach opening still on the table for multiple teams in the league. But Deej, let's shift to the college game, wrap up the episode. It's brought to you by our friends over at FOCO, who are powering Underground Madness. That is our March Madness coverage throughout the tournament, presented by FOCO. We love FOCO here at Underground. They are genuinely the leaders in forever collectibles. They have some of the sweetest merch, collectibles, apparel, and just unique items that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else for your favorite sports teams. And their college collection is second to none. Join our bracket challenge, which is presented by FOCO. It's linked in the description. And now through the end of March Madness, you can use our link in the description and shop everything at FOCO. And when you go to checkout, use code Underground10 and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase from our friends at FOCO. Again, use the link in the description. That way FOCO knows you're coming from us. Use code Underground10 at checkout, and you will get a nice little 10% discount from our friends at FOCO. And we thank FOCO for being the presenting partner of Underground Madness 2025. Lay it on us, Deej. How's the
First,
college slate looking?
I'm going to start with a few things. D3, we had a fantastic game. Maybe yesterday, most likely 2 days ago as this gets out to you. Thursday night, Christopher Newport took on Tufts in a battle of undefeated teams.
Shout out Max Wayne.
Christopher Newport lost this game because a shot hit the crossbar. Like, it hit that weird spot that's like just under where it's like, did it go in or not? And it didn't. And Tufts went the other way.
Shout out to the videographer who got that HD level video.
What a good game. What a good game. And I'll tell you right now, if CNU and Tufts meet again in the championship, that is going to be scenes. Make sure you got your laptop, phone, whatever in front of you that Sunday. Sunday? Is it Sunday? Or is it Saturday? Saturday. That's Saturday. That's Saturday. And you watch yourself a good game because, wow, was that a great lacrosse game. In other news, D3, shout out to Coach Brett Wetzel at Adrian College. Fantastic job, sir. Extremely proud of you. Happy to have played under you. You are now the winningest coach in Adrian College history, in men's lacrosse history. I appreciate being able to be a part of some of those wins and help you jumpstart your college career as a head coach. So continue doing the amazing things you are doing. I and many other alumni are watching and are proud to be, a part of this program because it's always a great day to be a Bulldog. Now let's talk about what we have coming up this weekend. Kicking it off bright and early at noon for us. We get Harvard Princeton 6 vs 12 on ESPN+. We also get Binghamton and NJIT, which is like a battle for the worst. But sometimes those are the best games to watch. That one's kicking off ESPN+ at noon as well. We get Providence and St. Joseph at ESPN+ at noon. Also playing at noon, ESPN+. We get Boston U and Army. Richmond and Georgetown playing at noon on whatever channel they're going to be playing on. Michigan and Maryland most likely going to be on BTN+ at noon. I will not be watching that, not because I don't want to, but because BTN+ absolutely blows and I refuse to pay for it. ESPN+, you got Brown and UMass at noon. ACC Network at noon. Colgate and Syracuse. That's a 10 versus 18 matchup. Utah and Virginia on ACC Extra at noon as well. 1 p.m. Air Force and Marquette, UMBC and Albany, and Cornell and Yale. Those last two are going to be on ESPN Plus. Rutgers and Johns Hopkins going to be on ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. as well. 7 p.m. Dartmouth, 20th in the country. They've been playing absolutely phenomenal lacrosse. They're on a run. They're looking to continue their winning ways. They're going to be playing Penn on the road, a 20 versus 16 matchup, 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. So don't you miss it. Duke and Denver playing at 8 p.m. on whatever channel that's going to be on. So you have a chance to watch that as well. That concludes Saturday. Sunday, the only game of the day, Ohio State and Penn State. 7 p.m. I'm guessing it's going to be on BTN Plus, so I won't be watching that one either. That's disgusting work, and we need to find a way for that to be on any other channel than that. Tuesday, Boston U and Harvard are going to be stepping field against each other, and those are the last notable matchups for the weekend in Division I men's lacrosse.
And your TLN college pick'em games of the week in the PLL app are the TLN. These are the TLN rankings for these teams too, by the way. Number 6 Army playing host to number 18 Boston University. Number 7 Syracuse playing host to Colgate. Number 13 Georgetown hosting number 15 DG Your Richmond Spiders.
Gang gang.
Number 5 Princeton hosting number 11 Harvard in some Ivy League action. And then the aforementioned number 2 Penn State hosting number 9 Ohio State. Those are the TLN games of the week.
Gonna be a great weekend of lacrosse, man. And also March Madness. So
100%.
honestly, a weekend out of heaven for me.
Locked in, dialed, ready to rock and roll as we sweat out our brackets, sweat out the bets that we're placing. Don't miss out on any of the live streams we have coming to you. We might have some Madness After Dark on Friday night with a little NLL crossover with the March Madness action as well. So subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss out on that. And make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow Deej at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. And follow Chase at the PLL Pipeline. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave those 5-star reviews. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, helps more people find Outside the Box and all of our podcasts here at Underground. So keep subscribing on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every single week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. Also subscribe to the Outside the Box podcast YouTube channel, youtube.com/@OTB LaxPod. If you want that OTB college show with Deej and Hoots, 49 more subscribers. That's all we need. 49 more. Go subscribe if you want the OTB College show on that channel. And of course, check out Shootout For Soldiers website, shootoutforsoldiers.com/events. That way you can find out how to register, donate, get involved, volunteer, and be a part of their 2025 schedule that is going all across America. And they just added Kansas City to the list in October. Go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events to find out how you can get involved on the action with our friends at Shootout For Soldiers. And this has been episode number 367 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, number 11 Philadelphia ranked Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy the weekend of lacrosse. Enjoy all the March Madness. We'll see you guys here next week. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.